Rocket injures 3 Americans in Syria. U.S. retaliates by killing several Iran-backed militants. 1 million people died in 2022 because of COVID, WHO. Sikh-American journalist deported from Delhi airport. Palestinian inmates stage sit-in in Israeli jails. Rohingya mark 5th Genocide Remembrance Day in Bangladesh refugee camps. Thousands throng to Iran Museum with Western art masterpieces. From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Saamiyah Syed. Our top story tonight. On Wednesday, 3 U.S. service members stationed in Syria were injured in 2 separate rocket attacks. U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, said the attacks targeted housing facilities for American troops in the region. CENTCOM added that injuries to all 3 service members were minor. The U.S. responded with a series of airstrikes from Apache helicopters that destroyed 3 vehicles and the equipment used to launch some of the rockets. CENTCOM said the airstrikes killed several of the suspected Iran-backed militants believed to be responsible for the rocket attacks. The 2 U.S. military bases that came under siege are located in northeastern Syria at Conoco and mission support site Green Village. A new alert system created to highlight racist incidents and acts of hate has been launched in Maryland. The Emmett Till alert is modeled after an Amber Alert. It is named after the 14-year-old boy whose August 1955 lynching in Mississippi became a symbol for racist violence in America. The warning system will notify Maryland's African American leaders of any credible racist incident or hate crime happening anywhere in the state. Emmett Till alerts will be sent to 167 Black elected officials statewide, national civil rights organizations, clergy members, and other leaders. Carl Snowden is with the Caucus of African American Leaders. He said the FBI deems the greatest domestic terrorism threat is white supremacists. He said the Black community should take that threat seriously. On Friday, the Jersey City Police Department teamed up with ICNA Relief and the Muslim American Law Enforcement Association, New Jersey, for its annual back-to-school giveaway. About 500 backpacks stuffed with school supplies were handed out by volunteers to families in need. The project is part of ICNA's One Nation, One Cause back-to-school giveaway campaign. Now in its 5th year, the project was launched locally as a cooperative effort between the Jersey City Policemen's Benevolent Association and the Muslim American Law Enforcement Association. A Missouri school district has reinstated corporal punishment in its classrooms, allowing students to be punished with a paddle. The Cassville School District School Board approved the policy in June and notified parents that it is bringing back spanking. The disciplinary measure was abandoned by the district in 2001, according to the Springfield News Leader. Its reinstatement comes after a parent survey last year showed they wanted additional discipline, said Merlin Johnson, Cassville School Superintendent. Some parents had complained they don't want their students suspended, but rather wanted another option, Johnson said. Administrators will implement corporal punishment as a last resort if other disciplinary measures do not work. On Thursday, the World Health Organization said 1 million people have died from COVID-19 in 2022. The global body called it a tragic milestone when all the tools existed to prevent deaths. Nearly 6.45 million deaths have been reported to the WHO since the virus was first detected in China in late 2019. WHO Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus questioned whether the world is really on top of the pandemic this far in. He asked governments to strengthen their efforts to vaccinate all healthcare workers, older people, and others at the highest risk. He reiterated the goal of nations having 70% vaccine coverage for their entire populations. The U.S. has appointed its first ambassador to Sudan in nearly 25 years, the U.S. Embassy said. Ambassador John Godfrey arrived in the capital, Khartoum, Wednesday to assume the post. The embassy said Godfrey will strengthen relations between the American and Sudanese people and support their aspirations for freedom, peace, justice, and democratic transition. In 1996, the U.S. closed its embassy in Khartoum. This was after labeling the Arab nation a state sponsor of terrorism for hosting al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden at the time. Washington reopened the embassy in 2002 with diplomatic representation below the level of ambassador. In May 2020, Sudan appointed its first ambassador to Washington after 20 years. On Thursday, Rohingya refugees living in camps in Bangladesh's southern border district of Cox's Bazar staged rallies marking the 5th anniversary of Genocide Remembrance Day. They held rallies in 12 of 34 camps to commemorate the day, local sources said. More than 1.2 million Rohingya, the majority of whom fled a brutal military crackdown in Burma on August 25, 2017, live in Cox's Bazar. Through yesterday's rallies, they urged world leaders to take necessary steps to ensure the peaceful and dignified repatriation of their people. A story on Palestinian inmates staged sit-ins in Israeli jails comes with details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today.
I am what hunger looks like in America.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Assalamu alaikum. Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
Welcome back. Palestinian inmates in Israeli jails started a sit-in against the Israeli prison authorities, a Palestinian nonprofit group said Thursday. The Palestinian Prisoners Society said all of the inmates left their cells and gathered in the prison yards. The group said the move is part of their escalating program, which began Monday to protest Israeli authorities backtracking on previous understandings with them. On Monday and Wednesday, Palestinian detainees did not leave their rooms for the usual security check and refused meals from prison authorities. The inmates are protesting new measures against detainees of life-term sentences, which include transferring them from their cells. According to Palestinian figures, there are nearly 4,550 Palestinian detainees in Israeli jails, including 175 minors and 31 females. The United Nations Human Rights Chief admitted to having tremendous pressure over a long-delayed report on China's East Turkestan, also known as its Xinjiang region. Beijing is accused of detaining more than 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. Michelle Bachelet has repeatedly vowed to publish a report on the human rights situation in the area before her term ends on August 31st. Bachelet said that she's trying to deliver on that promise during her final press conference as UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Thursday. She said her office was under tremendous pressure to publish or not publish the report. She said her office needs to review the substantial input from the Chinese government. Dozens of other countries have also sent a letter asking for the report to not be published. On Tuesday, Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said his government will launch a total war against Al-Qaeda-affiliated group Al-Shabab. His announcement comes in the wake of a deadly hotel siege last Friday by the militant group in Mogadishu that killed at least 21 people and wounded more than 100. Mohamud said the military has gained significant ground with its recent operations in parts of the country, including in central Galmudug state and southwest state. He met with the country's Security Council to discuss the latest attack on Hotel Hayat in the capital. Mohamud urged Somalis to be prepared for an all-out war against hostile terrorists. Sikh-American journalist Angad Singh was allegedly deported from Delhi airport Wednesday night, according to his family members in Punjab. Family members said Singh landed at Delhi airport at 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday and was deported to the U.S. within 3 hours. They said the journalist for Vice had come to India for a family reunion and was sent back because of his work covering South Asia. Singh had made a documentary on the Shaheen Bagh protest, a family member said. That was a peaceful 3-month-long sit-in demonstration in Delhi led by women in response to the passage of the Indian government's Citizenship Amendment Act, which the United Nations has called discriminatory. Singh had also requested a journalist visa to make a documentary on Dalits in India, which was recently rejected, the family members said. Shalev Julio, co-founder of spyware maker NSO Group, is stepping down as CEO. The Israeli company will lay off 1/7 of its employees. It is the latest fallout since its flagship Pegasus spyware program has come under increasing scrutiny. According to media reports, NSO is laying off 100 of its 700 employees, and Julio will be replaced by current COO Yaron Shahat. Israeli news website Calculus reported Julio will remain at the company in a new role overseeing mergers and acquisitions. He will be responsible for helping the company find a new owner. Pegasus software was often used to spy on human rights activists and journalists around the world. More than 20,000 people have flocked to an Iranian museum showcasing renowned Western artists' works. The Tehran Museum of Contemporary Art's current Minimalism and Conceptual Art exhibition features 132 works by 34 world-famous contemporary artists. Museum director Ibad Reza Islami said artists include Marcel Duchamp, Sol LeWitt, Donald Judd, and the duo Christo and Jean-Claude. Islami said 38 masterpieces were being displayed for the first time. The museum's collection is said to be the greatest lineup of modern masterpieces outside Europe and the United States. It includes multi-million-dollar pieces mostly kept under wraps since the revolution. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we will be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
I am what hunger looks like in America.
I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3
part-time jobs,
and that's still not enough
to put food on the table.
I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Dad! They took over my bedroom! Come on, come on! Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
It's now time for our in-depth analysis segment. Let's watch.
There is a new act which is being called Inflation Reduction Act, but people are referring to healthcare bill as well as the climate change bill. To discuss all of that with us is Peter Maybarduk. Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
It's excellent to be with you. Thank you.
Peter is leader of Access to Medicine, is director there of Public Citizen Governance Board at Medicine Patent Pool. Tell us, first thing first, what is in this healthcare related information in Inflation Reduction Act?
Well, the most significant item from our perspective is that the U.S. government will begin to negotiate medicine prices on behalf of Medicare, which is the world's largest drug purchaser at more than $100 billion per year. Ever since the creation of the Medicare Part D prescription drug benefit, on which a great many Americans rely, the U.S. government has been a price taker, has had to sort of accept the prices set by the pharmaceutical industry and insurers. And it's led to very expensive prices and quite a bit of treatment rationing across the United States, costing taxpayers a great deal of money. So now for the first time, the US government will be able to negotiate prices and get a better deal on behalf of all Americans. The benefits are expected to reach a couple $100 billion over 10 years, and then perhaps continue to grow. And it should contribute to a climate of increased medicine affordability in the United States. There's also a copay cap for people, Medicare beneficiaries who use insulin, and an ultimate cost cap for Medicare beneficiaries. So it means generally more affordable healthcare from people that are relying on the U.S. government's health services. And we hope that in the future to be able to develop ways to increase that affordability in the private sector as well.
So it seems like you're happy about this particular act.
Well, we're very happy. It's, to be clear, there are limits. There are steps we're going to have to take in the future. Medicine prices are high because of the monopoly power of the drug industry. Any given company has the ability to set the price of a new medicine without regard to individual affordability or research and development costs. And this act begins to chip away at that, to get toward something that we might consider fair medicine pricing. But there's more that's going to have to be done. We're leaving the patent-based monopolies the ability for companies to set prices of medicines when they first entered the market intact under the Act. So we're going to save a great deal of money collectively. We'll start making medicine affordable. It's a win for people and for healthcare. It's a defeat for the pharmaceutical industry. And as always, the work continues. More work will have to be done.
Is there any precedent in the United States of government fixing a particular price or trying to negotiate?
Well, the Veterans Administration does it quite successfully. So for the women and men who served in the United States Armed Forces, they benefit from government price negotiation that's helped the VA, the Veterans Administration, achieve lower prices than are available across the rest of the pharmaceutical market for people who've served in the United States military. So that's an excellent example. It's also something the Veteran Administration has done with a fraction of the resources that are available to Medicare and the United States government as a whole. So there is precedent, successful precedent, and it's the sort of thing that should be able to be only more successful when scaled up and brought to something like Medicare, which is a much larger market.
I have this U.S. Chamber of Commerce statement saying new price controls on pharmaceuticals would significantly reduce private sector investment in new research.
Yeah, I think it's a separate question
for the whole industry.
Yeah, I think it's a separate question, but I'm happy to address it. Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry has long claimed that reduced investments or that lower prices will lead to reduced investment in innovation. There have been studies of this issue. I believe there was a recent study by the Congressional Budget Office that found it. I think the answer was perhaps 10 new medicines over the course of 30 plus years might not reach market. Ultimately, it's a relatively small price to pay for medicine affordability. If you think about it from a perspective of just efficiency of investments, would we rather have the money in our pockets? Would we rather have the money for families to spend on groceries, or do we trust that every additional dollar we give to the pharmaceutical industry is going to be efficiently spent in the top medical research and development that we need? That's not really how it works. A lot of that money goes into marketing. A lot of it goes into Me Too drugs. And there are no disciplines right now, or very few disciplines, to achieve fair pricing whatsoever. So, collectively, if we invest less in innovation, we may get less innovation, but taxpayers invest $40 billion a year in innovation through the National Institutes of Health. As it is, that contributes to the development of almost every new medicine on the market. And we ask very little in return from the pharmaceutical companies that benefit from those public investments. So it is very important to have some basic fair pricing as we continue our public investments in research and development.
So we already, like vaccine development, is thoroughly funded, probably almost all funded by the U.S. government. So are you referring to that the U.S. government continue to subsidize the research in the technologies, medical medicine and pharmaceutical stuff?
It's one example. For example, the NIH Moderna vaccine, which is the most effective COVID vaccine in the world, was funded almost entirely by U.S. taxpayers and co-invented by federal scientists in a partnership that dates back nearly 10 years at this point. The public, you and I, are always invested, always involved in the development of new medical products. It's not just vaccines. The National Institutes of Health, which is funded by all of our taxpayer dollars, is the world's leading biomedical research institute. Its investments contribute to the development and marketing of almost every new medicine. So we're already paying, we're already investing in innovation. And the question really is, what do we expect in return for that investment? Public agencies invest, federal scientists contribute to the work, and then those technologies, that science that we all invest in, is licensed to pharmaceutical companies so that they can charge monopoly prices, right, with very few constraints. All we're asking them to do is sell medicines at any price they see fit. So what the Inflation Reduction Act begins to do is say, we're not going to let you charge just any price for the inventions that we have all invested in already. We are going to establish some sort of fair pricing regime. We're going to set a fair maximum price so that companies can't just rip us off for the investments that we've already made.
Peter, tell me, how long will it take, say within a month or by the end of this month, this becomes a law? How long it will take before people actually see the benefits of price reduction in medicine?
There will be some inflationary benefit or some anti-inflationary benefit for people enrolled in Medicare quite soon. One of the things that the bill does is limit how much companies can charge year to year, asking them to keep in pace with inflation, at least for prices to Medicare. But I think the bigger issue is that it will take a couple of years to set up the full negotiation system and have those benefits accrue. So price reductions, I believe, are scheduled to come into effect in 2026. Negotiations beginning, I believe it's as soon as the end of next year. So it'll take a little time, but the benefits you see is that at first the government will negotiate prices of 10 drugs, and then another 15 the next year, and another 15 the year after that. So if we look 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we're going to be seeing very significant benefits for everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your time.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.